Hey,
Get
what's
it all
going on,
out.
guys? I
Get
have
it
to
all
get it
out.
all out. Hey, guys, I'm Dorrani, and I'm joined by James, and we're going to be speaking about Outriders. Once again, this is nothing too serious. It's going to be a relaxed conversation. We're just going to freestyle our thoughts and opinions, and hopefully it goes well, like it did last time with Monster Hunter Rise. But yeah, James, what is Outriders?
So, for me, I think one of the main things about Outriders is that people have so many different preconceptions about it. It's kind of visual language, I guess, to use a pretentious term, is kind of all over the place. What on the kind of base level of it is, it's a 3-player co-op looter shooter that is more story based than other looter shooters, I guess you could say. And it's by the studio People Can Fly, who worked on Gears of War Judgment, a little bit on Fortnite before, when they were Epic Games
Oh, did
Poland, I
they?
think. Yeah, they did a
Oh,
little bit of that early on, in the like Save the World era, I think. And they worked on, a long time ago, the shooter Bulletstorm as well.
great
So
game.
from that kind of pedigree, you can tell that it's not going to be an overly serious sort of, but or is it? That's the thing. In
Yeah.
the a lot of the pre-release material that People Can Fly have talked about Outriders, they've said that this is like a mature shooter that is
Bye.
that's got a lot of serious shooting and a lot of very gritty action and stuff. But it's coming from a studio that kind of mixes that stuff with a lot of humor as well.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think from that intro, I think let's actually speak about the that quote in particular about it being sort of serious. I think that's not true. That's not true. It is, it reminds me of, like when a little kid is trying to be serious. And you're like, dude, what's going on here? Like they've just learned their first swear word, and that is what's going on. And you're just looking at them sort of like, are you being serious right now? Because I can tell you are, but it's not that serious.
I think it swings quite wildly a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has a lot of very dark stuff in it, and
Mm.
it has a lot of kind of action hero style one liner. Yeah,
Did you not find that tacky?
I think I think it's interesting, really, because I actually played Outriders quite a lot before it came out, because of the how things in the last sort of 18 months have worked.
Yeah.
The last thing that I went to see before everything locked down was Outriders in Poland.
Mm. Oh,
And
you went there?
yeah, we as part of we
Press
went
trip.
over to have a
Yeah.
look at it and played the demo content about a year before it came out.
Okay.
So at that point, we were looking at, they were telling us all of this stuff about how it was a serious, mature shooter with an interesting story that you could really get to grips with, and was really gritty and dark. And within the first sort of demo area with the side quests and stuff, you go very
Yeah.
quickly from being sort of fish out of water, I've just woken up, what's going on, to being sort of quipping badass, shooting people in the head for no reason. Like, you don't know who these people are, you're just killing them.
Yeah.
Right?
That was weird to me, by the way. Sorry to cut you there,
Yeah,
but that was incredibly weird. It was, oh, all of a sudden we just know how to use our powers now. We just know how to use all of our powers, and we're just back to. It's like they just turn him, or you turn your protagonist, your character, into this. There's just no in between. There's no in between
yeah.
whatsoever. It's just
I think it comes from the fact that it is built for 3-player co-op, right?
yeah,
And so it 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 maybe feels a little bit like there's some kind of connective tissue that's missing, that you're kind of being thrown into action set pieces without a huge amount of exposition in between,
yeah,
because it wants to keep up this pace of, you're fighting through this stuff with your buddies or whatever, and then it doesn't want to slow it down too much, but it also does at the same time.
yeah,
Because we've spoken about it a lot, that and Tom Ari, did a piece on this as well, that the actual intro is a bit strange as well.
It's slow. Do you know what? Okay, I have because I've been thinking about this for a long time. I need game developers to start showing players respect in the fact that we know how to shoot a gun now. Like shooters have been around for a very, very long time.
Mm,
Like it's doing the very, very, very basic aim here to shoot, and it's like, okay, we know how to do this. You need to speed this up. They can't put so much
yeah,
emphasis on that. They put so much emphasis on the tutorial on just how to shoot, and forgot how to teach players some of the core parts of the game, or didn't emphasize some of the core parts, like the loot, for example, the modding, for example. They said, here's a quick slide. Here's our PowerPoint presentation for modding.
yeah.
There it is. Nothing else. That is it. That's all you get with modding. But with tutorial, it's like, oh my god, here's how you aim. It's like, come on, man, put some respect on gamers. We know what we're doing. I think now we definitely know, and that's not
Yeah.
to say that there's not people out there who that is not beneficial to, because everyone
Mm.
jumps into gaming at a certain time. People have never played shooters before in their life. All depends. I'm not trying to discredit those people, but I think they definitely needed to speed that up, and just the whole sequence in general, like loads of run here for an incredibly long time. I don't even know what it set up. I don't know what it set up. I can't remember because I played the demo, and obviously you played the intro in the demo,
Yeah.
and couldn't remember it. For the life of me, couldn't remember what I done in that demo. I remember it just being long and boring and just not important at all. Um, yeah, that's my tangent over.
I think that I think we've been. I think you can tell from what we've said that it's a little bit unfocused. That
Yeah,
our thoughts are a little bit all over the place with this game because it is all over the place. Like we have the Outriders as a game. It's good. We don't think it's bad. I think you could, from the
yeah,
amount that we can complain about it, you could complain about it reams and reams for hours because there are nitpicks that you can pull out of it that crop up a lot of the time. But
mm,
it is absolutely full of lots of great ideas. It's just the implementation of those ideas is a little bit uneven. And as you
yeah,
say, it spends way too long telling you how to click the left mouse button and one slide screen of how to interact with these kind of deep and complex and actually quite innovative or whatever the word is.
innovative.
It gives you one slide screen of these innovative features like the
Yeah,
mod stuff, like the yeah, like the mod stuff, like the legendary weapons, the merchants, the world tiers. All of this stuff is just completely glossed over, and these are the things
yeah,
that you actually do take time to get to grips with
yeah.
because they are a little bit uneven.
So we can just say
Yeah.
it lacks focus. We'll say that the game as a whole, it is prioritizing things that are less important, I'd say, because as you said, there are very, very good parts to Outriders. It's just they're scattered and hidden. And one thing I'd say, a lot of the best parts of Outriders don't come until after quite a bit of playtime, and they don't give you like little snippets in the earlier stages of what's to come. And I fear that a lot of the players who play Outriders will play the intro, play a few of the missions and be like, "Do you know what? This isn't very robust. This isn't very intuitive. This isn't very it's not what I'm used to with other looter shooters." As I said, things like Destiny, the Division are out there. They're out there, so people have a
Mm.
baseline. There's a blueprint for looter shooters. Regardless if the blueprint is good or not, there's definitely a benchmark that needs to be hit. And if people are not immediately given something that is on par or better, they're gonna switch off. They're 100% gonna switch off. Um, so I think they needed to highlight the more important stuff earlier to keep players. But let's talk about the world. Or was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I think the world is interesting. Again, it's I think we've got uh, a lot of lore that isn't fully explored in kind of the main story. The areas do feel a little bit. I think the world is kind of secondary to the action. I think
Yeah,
the the areas are kind of, well, the areas are very linear, and you're being funneled to the other end of the mission essentially
yeah.
all the time. And there are some
It looks
times
bigger than it actually is.
it does look bigger than it actually is, because there are side quests and different sub stories
Yeah.
and monster hunts and wanted missions that you can go on, which are really good. Think the action itself is the best part of the game as a whole,
Mm,
and the the frenetic combination of these really flashy skills with these really aggressive enemies that are
yeah,
really up in your face and really trigger happy and putting a lot of pressure on you all of the time.
yeah.
It makes for a really intense, really engaging
I think it
sort of
feels
combat
nice when,
system. Yeah,
yeah, when you're running in the world. It does feel like you're somewhere. It's not just like, oh, where am I? I think all of the biomes are all have their own distinct features.
mm.
Um, One thing I will say about like visuals and like where you are, the map. What the hell is the point in the map in this game?
Yeah. The mini
Oh
map is
my
useless.
god, the mini map does nothing. It does absolutely nothing but tell you that an epic or a legendary might have dropped, and that's just in the mini map. When you actually open the full map, it doesn't actually tell you where you are. It tells you what region of the map you're in,
Yeah,
but it doesn't tell you exactly where you are. There's a lot of times where I think I'm going to a certain place, but I'm not actually going to that place because I checked the map and I just don't know where I am. And it seems like it's upside down sometimes, seems like it's backwards sometimes. So up is down and left is right. I'm like, okay, this map definitely sucks. And I've seen people on Reddit speaking about it. But I would say visually, um, the animations could use a whole heap of work. The animations, oh, sometimes they are so bad. Most notably when you're going from a higher surface, when you're dropping from a high surface to a low one, there is like it's clunky, but it like stops you. You run, you jump, or you fall off something, and you
yeah.
kind of land, but you land incredibly heavy. But I'm like, dude, we're supposed to be super strong. We should be hitting a parkour roll. We should be like cartwheeling out of these falls. We shouldn't be like it shouldn't feel the way it feels. And if you fall down, if you fall off a ledge and there's enemy around, and there's enemies around,
Mm.
you're dead. You're taking so much damage here. It's unreal, especially in the higher tiers as well. Animation wise, definitely could use another pass.
I think it's one of the concessions that has been made for co-op. I think
Yeah,
from the map to the animations and stuff, that you can see from, there's four classes in the game, right? There's Trickster, Pyromancer, Technomancer, and Devastator.
yeah.
So, but you've only got 3-player co-op, so you're not going to have a team of all
Do you
four
know,
things.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
There's four
it,
classes,
there's
but
four
there's
classes but 3 people. Yeah, which they said beforehand was because it was too flashy with all of the different powers going off at once on screen to have four. It chugged probably.
yeah,
It just didn't work. Um, so I think there've been a lot of concessions from the player size to what you're saying with the map.
yeah,
There's probably some kind of technological thing that they can't show 3 different people on that map all at one time or
yeah.
something, with the way
No.
that the server chugs
Mm.
or something. It's probably to do with that. And then it's been a bit of a meme with the weird cutscenes that you have for like
Yeah,
2 seconds between different areas, and
yeah,
they've said that is because they're syncing everybody that's in a game, and that
yeah.
from one area to another, right? And so I think there's just,
Is the
I,
technology not there?
I don't
Have we gone backwards? Is that what's happening? Because
I
when you're
feel
saying this stuff, I'm like, but there's games that do this. There's already games that do this. Like like it's nothing. This is one of the
Yeah.
like, say for example, like a cutscene or syncing players together.
Mm.
These are things that you're not supposed to notice. That's
Yeah,
why
very true.
loading screens now are well, we thought were a thing of the past. Like these things are not supposed to distract you or unimmerse you from what's going on. If I'm running, I've just killed a whole bunch of people and the cool cutscenes come up, and then I now have to go to a different area. Okay, cool. Just let me run straight through. I can see it. You can see the other side of this area. You can see it, but it fades to black, cutscene for
Yeah.
2 seconds, and then fades back in. But it looks stupid sometimes. There was one where I literally 1 meter gap, if that.
Yeah.
1 meter gap. It cutscened just to jump over this little puddle, and I promise you now, I don't. I was by myself and I couldn't stop laughing because what the hell is that? But I'm over it. A lot of
Yeah.
the times, I'm saying it now because we're speaking about it. But when I'm playing, I notice it, but it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal at the same time. Cutscenes are
Yeah. I,
dog
w-
shit.
I wonder how much of this stuff is the. I remember years and years ago, I was talking to the development team of Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah,
Um, and that was an RPG that was built in CryEngine, which up to that point had been used for first-person shooters pretty
mm,
exclusively, I think. And this guy was talking about how we usually there's about 12 characters on screen in a CryEngine game, but we
yeah,
have a whole world with literally hundreds of people all the time. And if you remember Kingdom Come Deliverance,
mm.
it didn't work. It just absolutely chugged for
Was it clunky? I didn't play it personally,
well,
so
it was yeah, it was famously quite buggy and chunky at the time. So I wonder if you think about Outriders, it obviously has a lot of DNA from Gears of War Judgment in
yeah,
the over the shoulder perspective, the way that your big meaty man galumphs from pillar to post between all of these
yeah.
different cover waist high walls or whatever. There's obviously a lot of that DNA in there, and I just wonder in the back end of stuff how much because when we talk about or we think about this stuff's easy, it's been done
Yeah,
with all sorts of different stuff, but how much of this how much of the back end of the base stuff that of a people can fly game, that how much of the kernel of the core of that there is built for this stuff, and how
yeah.
much are they trying to kind of retrofit and stuff into
That's what it
these
seems
tools that
like.
don't quite work.
Yeah,
And you're exactly, that's what it kind of feels like, that you've got these powers which are very different to anything they've done before, but they're the in response to that, the cover system just doesn't work at all.
yeah,
It's the one of the four mantras of Outriders is be aggressive, cover is for
yeah.
cowards or whatever. And I just wonder at what point in development that came about. Was it before or after the cover system was just didn't work? Did they just go, geez, this is
This
bad.
doesn't work.
This
We
doesn't
got to
work.
tell him
Let's
not to
tell them
use
not
it.
to use it.
That's it. That's the real reason they said this don't work. We got to tell him actively do not use this part of the game, but we got to do it for marketing. Nah, that guy got a raise. He 100% got a raise.
Because yeah, it's just another one of the good ideas that just seems like a really strange decision. And they're just full of, and the game is just full of these things that are, they've got a real kernel of something really fun and really cool, but
Yeah,
just come out a little bit weird.
yeah. It doesn't. There's a lot of common themes from other games that it doesn't do as well. It tries and then it just
Mm,
it just flips it on his head and it just comes out funny, as you said. But those things, let's talk about the content a little bit. So, content wise, you touched on it a little bit with this side quests, but in this sort of order, you'll play the story. You will then meet some vendors. You'll get some side quests. You'll get like a
hmm
wanted bounty, which you get tasked to go and kill. someone on a hit list. There's 10 of them, and it's the same thing. There's a hunt mission where there is a beast. These missions are exactly the same, by the way. One of
Yeah.
them are versus humanoids, and then the other ones are just versus beasts. Exact same thing. They're both the exact same thing. It's harder with the humans because they shoot back, and
Yeah.
a lot of the beast ones, they're not really apart from the flying acid spitter, which is the bane of all Outriders community at the moment. I see a lot of people speaking about it on the Reddit. That they're pretty easy, and then we have what else is there? There's historian missions, I think it is, or
Yeah.
Historia. I'm not sure.
And then at the
Um,
end, you've got the expedition things, the kind of
the
ultra
the
hard
best
raid
part.
stuff.
The best part. Okay, story sucks. I'm just gonna say it. The story sucks, but I don't play these sort of games for the story. A lot of people feel that way. If you're big on looter shooters, you just don't care about the story too much. You just want to get the gear and shoot things. The side quests, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're better than
Mm.
the story. I'm not talking about the hunts or the wanted. I'm talking about the actual ones that have a story and there's cutscenes and they're voiced. They're pretty good. Um, One thing I want to say is back to the whole them not showing players what the end game is like in
Mm.
snippets throughout the story. The boss mechanics, there's none whatsoever. Every single boss is unload bullets and try your hardest to dodge bullets. For one, you can't dodge bullets because the AI are insane. I don't know what mouse and keyboard that the AI in this game are using. I don't know what gaming chair. I don't know what flavor of G Fuel these lot have been drinking, but
Morlocks
these
in Phase Clan.
yeah, I'm telling you, they are insane. There's no dodging whatsoever. And if you don't have skills that have some sort of life steal, you're done for a lot of the times
Yeah.
when you're playing through the story. That is, there's ways around it later on, but things like that absolutely suck. And then I got to expeditions now. So expeditions are a end game challenge tier similar to like Mayhem in
Mm.
Borderlands, and you do one expedition, and if you complete it within a certain time, you go up to challenge tier 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 15. And the first one I played at challenge tier 1. I said, okay, cool, let's see what it's saying. I had just completed the story,
Hmm.
and immediately there was a new mechanic that was not in the story. It was to capture the it's like capture an objective,
Right.
and you're being swarmed with enemies. You have to defend it while this spire sort of forms. um why was that not in the story? There is literally nothing like that in the story.
Yeah.
There's no mechanics. There's not even a collect this and bring it to like while you're in the boss fight. Collect this or shut down this to activate something or hold this area or similar just boss mechanics. Do you know what? It's funny. This is an absolute segue, but I was playing It Takes Two.
Yeah.
Um, I love this game. Is so good, by the way. It Takes Two, and there's boss fights in It Takes Two way better than Outriders. That's my hot take for this whole thing, that It Takes Two has better boss mechanics than Outriders. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense, man. Putting everything right at the end is smart, but you need to show people that there is something at the end, content
Yeah.
wise, and just trickle it a little bit. This Here's a smidge of expeditions in your, first hour or
Mm.
your first. I don't know, man. What do you think of the
Yeah. I know.
content?
I know what you mean. I don't want to keep flexing that. Oh, I spoke to them before,
Yeah.
but this is another. This is another thing that I did speak to the development team about, and they one of the things that they wanted to stress was that Outriders is different from other looter shooters in that they said it's more story based, and so I
Ooh.
think let me find the quote. Let me find the quote.
Oh, the receipts.
He said um,
The receipts.
that if people were like kind of mostly play loot shooter games for rushing through all of the story content to like reach the end game and grind out all of the the legendary stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the quote is, I'd say, no, stop. This is the real thing. This is a world that you should care about. You should care why you're doing this, why you want to find different things and protect your people. There's a reason for it all in the story and in the plot. And it's like,
That's a lie. For people listening, my face couldn't have been any more confused right there because I couldn't tell you one of the characters' names. All I know is that I'm altered. That's the only thing I know. I know I'm altered, and I know that Jakob is Polish. That's the only thing I remember from the
yeah,
story. I
I
don't know if
think
it's just me, man, because I heard
I
someone
don't
else.
know. I
Go
don't know.
on.
I don't think it is just you. I think that it's interesting that they say that the story is the main part of this game. It's what you should you shouldn't be rushing through it. You should be enjoying the story. You should be doing all this stuff. But there's, as you say, there's so much of the best stuff at the end,
Yeah.
especially in terms of the legendary weapons. There's like there's multiple. Like 30. There's more than 30, isn't there? There's lots. I can't
There's
remember off
quite
the
a
top of my
few.
head how many legendary weapons and armor pieces there are, but they're all really cool. They're all very unique looking, and they all
Yeah.
have special powers, and they look great.
Yeah.
And I just don't, and how many did? Would you like to tell people how many you got through before you rolled the
Uh,
credits? How many did you get
How many? Well, before I rolled the credit, I got
before
two
you?
before I rolled credits. I got two,
Two,
two
and
before,
it's
and
like,
that was their story guaranteed as well. These are not. These didn't drop, and I got some sort of
oh,
excitement. These are no, none
you
of
didn't get
these
any
dropped in the world.
actual drops.
Nope.
See, I have had stuff drop from captains or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I just don't quite understand where they're positioning this as a story driven game
Yeah.
where you're playing through all of the main story missions, and this is supposed to be the main bit. This is the real this is the world that you should care about.
Yeah.
But all the legendary weapons, the best stuff, is completely absent. I just don't
It's true.
understand why you would make it if you're not going to give it to people.
I
It,
think the better way to do it is something more like Destiny and Division. So Destiny and Division, they are more keen to give you exotics, which are the legendary
mm,
equivalent. They'll give you them early, but they're just underpowered. They'll let
yeah,
you play with
exactly. Yeah,
them, but you're gonna replace them. But they give you a chance to feel strong, to have a weapon that your friends might not have, to make you feel
yeah,
special as you're playing it. There, as I was playing, there wasn't a time for there's massive gaps where I'm like, what's the next thing am I gonna chase? Or is this legendary even gonna drop? Is there gonna be something where I can say, or a gun that's gonna drop where I can just be a beast for, at least one world tier?
yeah,
But there was none of that. There was none of that until I got to like world tier 10. I'm like, dude, what is this, man? What is this? There's no reward like as
yeah.
you're playing. None at all. No incentive, it
And
feels.
yeah, and off the top of my head, is World Tier 10 not impossible difficulty?
So you scale up. So you
No, I
you
mean, like, is it not called impossible
yeah,
difficulty?
yeah, I think so.
Because,
I think so.
yeah, it's one of those. I think the World Tier stuff is, in kind of my opinion, one of the really good things, one of the best things about the game, but one of the kind of worst communicated parts as well.
Yeah.
Um, that you at the start, it feels like you've got this extra XP meter that you're building through.
Okay.
That's just going to be a smooth curve to the end, doesn't it? It feels like because
Mm,
you go through, and that's another thing that contributes to the opening being slow, doesn't it? That you're going through world tier one,
yeah.
2, 3, and everybody's really easy,
Yeah.
and it feels like it's just a natural progression that you're going to get to 15 by the time you roll the credits.
Yeah.
But it's not like that, is it?
It's not the case, man.
It's supposed to. The world tiers are difficulty levels that balance the game to be as absolutely as hard as you can muster for
Yeah.
every single encounter, and it
Mhm.
scales it up and down on the fly, which is a brilliant idea on the face of it. I think it really goes a long way to making Outriders as intense and action packed as it can be,
Yeah.
but it doesn't communicate to you that these are difficulty levels. That if
Yeah.
you are
Uh,
absolutely butting against a wall, You can scale it down to make it to make it where somewhere that you're more comfortable with, or you can grind out a couple of easier areas to bump it up to
Yeah.
as hard as you want to make it. I
It's
think, yeah.
weird. It's weird. It's something that's not explained, but it's like, remember I was saying how they need to give players credit. I think give us credit in the way that we know what a world tier is. But I think the execution isn't that good because they've assumed, but they haven't explained the benefits of it to people
Mm,
really well. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think the auto scaling, because it by default it will just climb with you. So
yeah.
as this bar fills, the world tier bar, that will advance you to the next world tier. And I think a lot of people are gonna have to either turn that off at a certain point and just kind of manually do it. But it's the best and worst because you can play through the game, play, and then when you get to a certain point that is giving you a bit of grief or the enemies are a bit too overwhelming, you can just say, I don't fancy throwing my bullets at this over and over and over
Mm,
until it goes down and keep dying. You can just say to yourself, I'm just gonna drop the world tier, melt the boss quickly, keep it on a slightly lower world tier for a little bit, and then just cruise through. And once you're too OP, you can just bump it back up to a more reasonable level.
mm.
It's good and it's bad. I feel like it serves its purpose, but it doesn't explain it very well.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the. I think something that Outriders does a good job of is being very player focused
Yeah,
in terms of giving you a lot of tools to make your gameplay what you want to make it.
yeah,
So there are a couple of things that I also really liked. I enjoyed that the merchants in the game aren't completely useless. That
okay,
you can buy a lot of really good stuff from them. Especially the guy in the second merchant, he has a lot of really cool stuff, cool
yeah,
epic stuff. Um, and all of the every time that you visit a merchant, you'll probably find throughout the main story you'll probably find something that is better than your current gear,
yeah,
and that's a good thing
definitely,
because in most games it's just useless. You might as well not bother even talking to them, right?
yeah,
And the mod crafting system is also really good.
yeah,
That you're not grinding through tons and tons of loot drops to try and get
yeah,
some god roll of the best stuff. When you
yeah,
dismantle a gun, you learn its mod, you learn its power, you learn its ability, and then you can transfer that into any gun that you want.
yeah.
Pretty much
That is the
anytime you have,
best.
yeah.
That is the sole reason Outriders will do well. Is this modding system? That's the only thing that carried me or makes me want to continue playing Outriders.
Mm,
Is this system? Is the modding system? Because later on, once you've completed the story, you're like, what's there to do now? And how do I get to these higher world tiers? Because you should have the game completed by world tier 10, like story wise. If you want,
yeah.
you can complete it by like earlier. But world tier 10, it starts getting a bit technical. It starts getting a bit hard. It starts getting a bit mad at these levels. But if you if you look at the modding system, once again, they just gloss over this and that's the end of it. But if you actually go in there, there's so much things you can do. You can up the rarity of your weapons, you can up the level of your weapons,
Mm,
you can boost certain attributes. Like there's so much you can do to help you combat the higher world tiers that I feel like they don't stress enough. But this is what's next, or the end game is literally you tinker around with your build, you farm expeditions, you try and get to challenge tier 15 on
mm,
expeditions, and you just keep messing around. Once you've done one character, you've perfected one build. They should bring out loadouts as well. I don't think there's a loadout section so you can
mm,
save a loadout. You can just start creating a new build, and then or swap character, new build on that character, and then just keep messing around. That's why people have compared it to Diablo a lot, where that's what you do in Diablo. It's just farm.
yeah.
You just farm gear for until you're bored, basically, and you just put it down, come back, farm more gear when you're bored, and that is what Outriders is gonna turn into. But with this modding system, it really is gonna be the the be all and end all of this game. 100%. The modding system. The story, nah, no one's buying this for the story. If anyone gets a recommendation of Outriders, it's for the modding system and the loot, because it is quite satisfying. Bar the whole it not giving you anything powerful at the start. If you can break through that
Yeah,
towards the end, you will be rewarded in things like expeditions, but it might be a little bit too late. They might not even have players to get all the way to the end. But
yeah.
yeah,
It's another example of a slightly uneven or a little bit of a strange decision that you have this crafting system which incentivizes you to dismantle your legendary stuff
yeah,
because who cares if you're dismantling it? You've got its mod, you can add it to different stuff. But then it's
yeah.
like, well, but I'm getting literally two of these
Mm-hmm.
in the whole game. I don't want to dismantle it.
Yeah,
It kind of feels like they've put a lot of work into setting up a really interesting and innovative system that lets you let go of those different items that are becoming underpowered that you would hold on to past their sell by date in a different
yeah,
game, but then by being stingy, it kind of de-incentivizes it again.
yeah.
And
It's a little bit
yeah,
backwards.
I think it. There's a lot of I said this earlier. There's a lot of nitpicks to have to pull out of Outriders, but it is, as you say, quite satisfying on the whole.
Yeah,
It's it's simultaneously. I think that's because of its of the intensity of like I said, the world tiers being balanced to make it as hard as possible at all times. It skirts the line of intense, frantic, and just aggravating
yeah.
at the same
I
time.
agree. That's the word. That's the perfect word.
And it's it's a really interesting game because of that. It's one that you're going to be sat there swearing at the screen for,
Mm.
and everybody in your house is going to be saying, "Doesn't sound like you're having a good time,"
Doesn't sound
and
like you're
it
enjoying
doesn't
this
sound
one.
like you're enjoying yourself. And then you kind of go, "Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
I kind of am enjoying myself."
yeah.
But
I totally
it's
agree.
yeah,
That's definitely the mood and vibe it gives off. It's like, what the hell am I playing? Like, what? It's the funniest thing is like my friends message me saying they see me playing Outriders on Discord, like from the little pop up, and they would say, "Oh, so do you recommend Outriders?" Because they haven't played it yet. I say, "Nah, man, I don't think I would. You know, I don't think I would recommend this. But I'm still playing. Why am I still playing if I don't recommend this?" So, saying that, uh, one of the last questions I'm gonna sort of ask you is, would you recommend Outriders to people? I'm gonna go ahead first and say yes if loot is your thing. If you like to tinker with builds, if you like to theory craft with builds, this game is for you. If you're looking for something story driven, absolutely not. But what do you think? Would you recommend it to your friends? Or if your friends asked, should they buy Outriders, you would say,
I think that Outriders makes itself quite an easy recommendation with its demo, and I think they've been very savvy with that.
mm-hmm.
That that you have a no strings attached way to experience Outriders,
Yeah.
and with a lot of the time before the demo, when the demo came out before the actual game was out, you could kind of overlook the weird things about the demo and be like, "Oh, this is just the demo, or they'll fix
Yeah.
that in the main game. It can't be like this in the full game."
Bamboozled us all.
It completely is. The demo is exactly the same as the full game,
Yeah.
and if you play that demo, you enjoy that, then Outriders is really easy to recommend.
Yeah.
If you think it's weird and if you think it's weird and annoying, then definitely don't pick it up. I think in the story department, if you like where they said where People Can Fly said pre-release, this is not every shooter has to have a stupid story. This is
Mm.
something mature and dark that I'm not sure that I buy that. I
Who are
think
they referencing to that though? Are
I
they
don't know.
referencing Borderlands? Because that's the only one. Because Destiny's story is very serious. Division's story is very serious. Like tonally, it's only Borderlands that I
Yeah, I'm
can,
not sure. I'm not
you
sure.
know.
But I think the the tone of Outriders stories is something like, I was thinking, sort of 90s disaster film. It's like Armageddon,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
maybe Independence Day.
yeah. Agreed.
Like in at one point in the story, a character's talking about how they need to get some kind of chemical compounds to line your war truck
Yeah.
uh, to produce more oxygen so you don't die.
Hmm.
And he says some perfectly normal things that normal people would say and understand. And then everybody in your crew's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Poindexter, in English, please." And you're just like, "This is independence. This is
Yeah,
welcome to Earth tier
yeah.
dialogue." This,
It is.
and it's
It's
like, yeah,
silly. It's so laughable. I feel like we could have spoken about the voiceovers and the narrative for this game for the whole sort of 40 minutes, but it's. Do you know what? I feel like if anyone is listening to this and got to this part in and listening to us, play the story just to piss yourself laughing, just to because it's that bad. It's that bad at certain points. Dude. So you're saying yes. Also, it's on Xbox Game Pass.
yeah,
Back to
exactly.
our
That's another thing that
recommendation.
makes it a really easy
Yeah.
recommendation. That
Well,
there's a demo that is exactly the same. You get
yep.
a really, really full insight into what the game's like from the demo. So it's an easy recommendation on that front. It's also a very easy recommendation on uh, Game Pass as well. Um, it's definitely worth checking out.
Smart move
But
from them, by the way. Is the
yeah, very
Xbox
smart
Game
move.
Pass.
But
Game
I
Pass
don't
is
think,
huge now.
yeah, I don't think that I don't think it's an absolute must play. But then I
Oh
guess
nah,
there's not a huge amount out right now.
definitely.
If you're looking for a fresh take on the kind of looter shooter genre that is engaging, if nothing else, then I can definitely recommend it. But it's not going to be a kind of game of the year contender, I don't think.
Yeah, agreed. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I don't think so. I
Nah.
mean, I think we've dunked on all of the dumb parts, so I
Yeah.
think we're good.
Yeah, no, I really just before we go, I just want to really stress that the loot system is something that 100%. If you're into looting and building, tinkering, theory crafting, then Outriders definitely is the game for you. But that is about it. To be honest, we're gonna wrap it up here. Make sure you check out our guides on VG247. Make sure you check out our YouTube. We're gonna have some stuff going up there soon as well. But that is it from us, from me and James. Peace out, everyone.